Smartphone cameras have come a long way thanks in no small part to the software that is always improving. So much so that mid-range camera-centric smartphones like the OPPO Reno4 Pro can give you amazing images and videos without a hassle. But with that said, can it stand up against a proper flagship? This is something useful to find out for those who want to take really good photos and videos without breaking the bank. So for today's comparison video, we're pitting the OPPO Reno4 Pro against the Samsung Galaxy S20. Let's go!
Let's quickly run through the camera specs before we begin. The OPPO Reno4 Pro comes with a 48 megapixel main lens with an 8 megapixel ultra-wide shooter, a 2 megapixel depth sensor and another 2 megapixel macro lens. The Galaxy S20 has a 12MP main lens, a 64 megapixel telephoto lens and a 12MP ultra-wide shooter. The former has a 32 megapixel selfie lens and the latter has a 10 megapixel front camera. As usual, let's begin with daytime shots. Both phones shoot at 12 megapixel and I'm glad to report that both images are crisp and equally bright. There's a little bit of a yellowish tint on the Reno4 Pro's image however, while the Galaxy S20's color reproduction can be a little bit oversaturated. Both phones had HDR and AI scene optimizer / recognition turned on. But if you want more color saturation than a Wes Anderson classic, turn on the Reno4 Pro's Dazzle color mode and you'll be treated with super punchy colors. On top of that, the Reno4 Pro's main lens is capable of getting more subject into its frame compared to the Galaxy S20. And this leads us to the ultra-wide lenses. This time, it's the Galaxy S20 that captures more, but the edge distortion is clear as day. Meanwhile, the Reno4 Pro produces less edge warping, so I guess you gotta pick your poison. The Galaxy S20's 64 megapixel camera takes higher detail images, which is evident when you zoom in on the bushes and leaves. The Galaxy S20's image is also brighter. But don't sleep on the Reno4 Pro though, the 48 megapixel image is still mighty sharp, and again you get more details in the clouds. What's interesting is that the Reno4 Pro can shoot at 108 megapixel but only through XHD mode, which is only accessible in Pro mode. Unfortunately, although the image file is indeed 108 megapixels, it's surprisingly not as detailed as the Galaxy S20's 64 megapixel image. When it comes to portrait shots, the Galaxy S20 produces a more natural bokeh effect which can be adjusted even after taking the photo through your gallery. The Reno4 Pro has the more artificial bokeh, but a good thing is that the subject background separation here is impressive. Same story again with human portraits, more natural bokeh on the Galaxy S20 while keeping the subject in detail much better. But here's where the Reno4 Pro stands out. It has a feature called AI Color Portrait that turns the background black and white while keeping the person in color. Note however, this only works when the phone detects a human face. It's still a neat feature for those who want that extra stylistic flair. Over on the front camera, the Reno4 Pro's image is brighter overall and has a wider field of view. The Galaxy S20 produces a sharp image with slightly oversaturated colors. With portrait mode turned on, you get a more obvious bokeh on the Reno4 Pro with more saturated colors this time around. The Galaxy S20's background blur can be adjusted further like mentioned before, and it seems to have a slightly better subject background separation. The Galaxy S20 still offers a decent bokeh while keeping more of the subject in focus. On the Reno4 Pro, bits of my hair is eaten away. Also good to mention is that the Reno4 Pro's AI Color Portrait mode also works on the selfie lens too. Alright, now let's move on to nighttime photography. The Reno4 Pro does exceptionally well here with more natural colors, less overall noise, and a balanced lighting exposure. The Galaxy S20 actually brightens up more areas of the image while managing to get more details on the main subject compared to the Reno4 Pro. Although not as noticeable as the other differences, the Galaxy S20 is a tad bit more oversaturated as we can see on the bamboo stems here. In really dim surroundings, the Reno4 Pro manages to brighten up the image even more while again maintaining a very good balance in colors. The Galaxy S20, although is brighter, produces a strange yellowish image. I'm attributing this to the only light source in this picture, which adds to the yellowish effect. Without the presence of light, the Reno4 Pro blows the Galaxy S20 out of the water with a shot that looks like it was taken during the day. The wall mural has all its colors retained, nice and crisp. Meanwhile, the Galaxy S20 is dim and pretty bland. The Reno 4 Pro has a new feature called Night Flare Mode, which combines both night mode and portrait mode together. What you get is a bright nighttime portrait of yourself with a really nice DSLR-like bokeh effect in the background without the need for ample lighting, unlike the Galaxy S20 that struggles in this aspect, especially when it's starved for light. When it comes to videography, we tested both phones with their ultra/super steady modes on, and the Samsung Galaxy S20 takes the cake with a more stable image. The Reno 4 Pro, however, has more natural colors, but it can look a little bland sometimes. Thankfully, it makes up for it with a more balanced exposure. The Galaxy S20 has punchier colors and is generally brighter. It also has a sharper image quality despite both phones shooting at 1080p. I also need to mention here that the Reno 4 Pro's AI color portrait works on video as well. There's a new feature called monochrome mode that isolates the colors red, blue and green and let them shine, meanwhile everything else is black and white. This is useful for people who like making fancy videos. But as cool as that is, you have to remember that the Galaxy S20 can shoot at 4K 60fps and 8K 24fps. That's what you get with a premium flagship. At night, both phones struggle, but the Reno 4 Pro comes out on top with less noise and a brighter footage. The Galaxy S20 makes up for it with a slightly steadier shot. It doesn't look like either phones are really any good at shooting videos at night, so yeah.
Well, there you have it. The Galaxy S20 shows why it's a flagship with an impressive showing on its colors, sharpness and its software performance as well. But the OPPO Reno 4 Pro can stand on its own as well, as it defeats the competition in nighttime photography, along with really impressive selfies, ultra-wide performance, and also new features such as the AI color portrait and monochrome modes, which are useful features for some people. After a long day of shooting, the OPPO Reno 4 Pro's 65W Super VOOC 2.0 fast charger can get the phone up and running in no time. Plus, its lightweight 161-gram frame makes the phone really easy to carry around, especially around Klang Valley when I was shooting this video. So with all those features in mind, the OPPO Reno 4 Pro puts in a good shout, especially for something that costs about 1,200 ringgit cheaper than its flagship counterpart. But before you give your own verdict, here are the phone's complete specs to help you make your choice. Well, that's it for our camera comparison today. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. Which would you go for, OPPO Reno 4 Pro and save a few bucks, or just go for a flagship. This is Victor signing off. Remember to like, subscribe. Bye bye.